Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us again for another episode of Real Estate for Real People. We don't have Shannon with us today. I'm Tamara. And instead of Shannon, we have Sharon, one of our partners with Stone Sisters, Remax Stone Sisters. And we are excited to have a wonderful guest here today, Tracy, who is going to share with us just her experiences, what it was like moving to Kelowna from across the country and packing everything up and how that all came about. So welcome.
Thank you.
We're excited to have you. This will be, we have a lot of people that choose to move here. Historically, it used to be that people would come from Vancouver or Calgary. And now we're seeing more and more people that are coming from Toronto and from, even abroad. And just, we'd love to chat. And I know, Sharon, you've got some great questions too, but just what it was actually like and what, maybe we'll start with what made you choose Kelowna?
Well, I think, first of all, I have to say that we were living a couple hours north of Toronto in Muskoka and we had moved to our dream cottage. We had retired and we'd moved to our dream cottage on a lake where my husband's family had been since 1904.
Wow.
And so, yes, unfortunately, though, after we'd built our dream cottage, we have two daughters. One moved to Vancouver and the other one moved to Seattle.
Oh, wow.
So we had the idea of moving part-time to Vancouver, actually. And we looked at real estate in Vancouver. But a girlfriend of mine said to me, Tracy, why on earth would you move to Vancouver? The weather's terrible. You should look in the interior. So my husband developed several spreadsheets and one of them on the weather. And the weather in Kelowna was better than anywhere else in BC. He found out there was 2 months of the least amount of sun in Canada and 10 months of the most sun in Canada. So
wow, I love that. I didn't know that.
That's so great. that got our interest. And the fact that we don't know anybody in Kelowna, and the fact there was a gated golf community there was a big drawing card. Especially, I'm a big tennis player, and I golf. So I golf, I play tennis, and I spend a lot of time doing pottery. And the fact there was a pottery studio there, and I paint, there's a painting studio, and the fact there's a gym and a swimming pool and other facilities and lots of activities to meet other people. So that's worked out really well. Wow. And
I love that. Yeah. And there, Sharon, why don't you jump in at this point because you helped Tracy find her home and tell us where there is.
Exactly. And there is Gallagher's Canyon. It's a golf course community. I call it a lifestyle community. It's very special. Yeah, I don't even know of another one in Canada. And so when we started our search together, we started looking at different areas. And, one of the things we looked at was Upper Mission, for the lake views, and Glenmore area for that central location. But then we started to talk about, well, what are you really looking for in your new lifestyle? And then the more that we explored that, we thought, let's take a look at Gallagher's. And what we have found is so many people, when they're moving to the Okanagan and they're retired, they're like, Sharon, how are we going to make friends? How are we going to create a community? And with Gallagher's, you basically walk into it and you have that.
Wow. And I think that's so important. It's interesting because we like to ask people when they're moving here and we say, tell us what you do in your free time. Tell us what you like to do. Tell us about who you are. And sometimes I think people are surprised we ask that. And I say, do you hike? Do you play tennis? What are you interested in? Because there are different communities and neighborhoods here that appeal to different lifestyle choices. So I love that we had something here, that really appealed to everything that you enjoy doing.
And I do have to say that when we'd moved from Toronto up to our cottage, we had a top agent in the area. And so when it came time to look for a home here in Kelowna, we asked our very top agent, do is there somebody like you in Kelowna? And they suggested Stone Sisters, and we were very thankful that we found Sharon. And
awesome.
So when we first came here, which was in 2017, I had never been to Kelowna, and we came for 2 weeks, and we first rented a VRBO condo right downtown.
Smart, really smart.
And then we rented for a lower level of a house on Black Mountain Golf Course.
Brilliant.
Great.
Good for you. I think that's a great tip. And I'll just pause you momentarily, but I think that's something that's really wise to do rather than, if you're going to immerse yourself and picture actually packing up and moving somewhere, it's great to not just stay at a hotel, but sort of live in a VRBO or an Airbnb or, test out the communities. That was smart.
Mm-hmm. So we like the golf course better. And I think within that 2 weeks, we bought our house and moved in that November.
Exciting. But the original plan as well was to live part-time in Kelowna.
That's right. So we love to ski. Skiing isn't nearly as good in Ontario as it is here.
I've heard. I've never tried it, but
yeah, don't bother bringing your skis there. So our plan was to come here for the winter and for bug season, because the bugs where we lived in Muskoka were horrendous, and there's no bugs here, which is so surprising. There's no humidity. There's no wind. I don't really understand. But I certainly love that about Kelowna. And so that was our plan. So was to stay just for winter and spring. And we moved in November. We were going to drive back to Ontario as soon as we were safely able to do that, which we were thinking was April. And we ended up staying until the end of June.
Wow.
And then we went back to our very, very lovely cottage that we thought we'd never leave. And we're like, we kind of miss Kelowna.
Wow.
That's so great.
And a lot of people said to us, why are you leaving now? Like, this is when, there's so many people in Gallagher's that go away for the winter. And they're like, why are you leaving now? This is when it gets really nice here. And so we didn't even know about beaches. That wasn't on our radar at all. And so now we have a condo at Big White. So we ski there all winter, and we bought a boat. So we still have our little lake fix there.
Truly embodying what the Okanagan is known for, and really it is lifestyle. It's the ability to play and do so safely. So were there any other communities? So you said you were thinking of Vancouver, and then you looked at Kelowna. Were there any other communities that were on the table or were under discussion or on a spreadsheet?
No, because once we started shifting our focus away from Vancouver, Kelowna just had so much to offer. And yeah, I do have to mention that even the fact that they had a cancer center was important, because I've had cancer twice. And so that was another important piece for us as well. Yeah. And I have to say, sometimes I think, we moved so far, but we're still, we could be closer to our kids.
Yeah.
And I think, did we kind of blow it? But they love to come to Kelowna. They love to visit all the time. They all ski. And I say all because now both my daughters are married, and all them and their husbands ski. And they love to come and hang out on the lake, and they like to go to the wineries. And we've gone on some pretty spectacular hiking trips here as well.
Yeah. It's interesting because we do hear that people say they want to retire somewhere, they want to live somewhere where the kids will visit, will choose to come and visit. And
yeah, you don't have to entice them. They just love it.
That's right.
Yeah. So,
and as well, you've had quite a few friends from Ontario visit, both in the summer and winter.
Yes, especially recently. We're just coming off of 40 days of hosting friends from Ontario.
40? Oh, my gosh.
That might be a bit much.
But you love them.
But I think just because now things are opening up a bit, and everybody, they love to ski at Big White.
Yeah, it's pretty spectacular.
And soon you'll be out on the lake.
Yes.
We hope
Yes.
that's very soon as the snow is disappearing from the hills and our weather's getting better. Tell us about some of the, maybe challenges. How was it finding a hairdresser, a dentist, a doctor? Have you found all of that? You've been here now 5 years we're going on?
Right. Initially we had trouble finding a doctor.
Mm-hmm. We hear that.
Thankfully, the doctor that we found, who was pretty new, he didn't last too long, and he referred us to a fabulous doctor. So
that's great news.
So yeah, that worked out really well. And I think for me, from the minute I moved to Kelowna, and I'm somebody who hasn't ventured very far from where I was born. I was born outside of Toronto. We lived outside of Toronto for a long time, and moving up to our cottage was a big deal for me. And then to come across the country, I would have expected that I would have had some growing pains, and I really didn't. As a matter of fact,
wow,
it has felt very, very comfortable to me from the get-go. I think the only challenge I had was remembering to look up, because there's mountains here. And I'm not used to seeing mountains, and sometimes I'd look up and, be, wow, I can't believe that. And I love our distance to downtown. We have everything that we want available to us that isn't very far away. But we still have, it's still nice and quiet, and a bit more removed where we are in Gallagher's. So that has worked out really well. I think my husband's definitely had a challenge in that he really misses his friends a lot.
Yeah, understandably.
And those are lifelong friends.
Yes, he definitely has friends from public school.
Wow.
Whereas, I don't know. It's interesting. I felt that we would always go back to the lake every year, but then with COVID, we weren't really able to do that. Have I missed it? Not as much as I thought I would.
Wow.
Not as much as I thought I would. And like I said, we have so many friends coming out to visit that hasn't been an issue.
And do you still have your cottage property, or did you sell that?
No, we sold that.
Yeah. So, and do the girls miss it?
Yes, sorry. I guess I should have said that when we first came out here. Yes, it was only going to be part-time. And then we went back in June, and we were like, yeah, we kind of miss Kelowna. And we listed our cottage in that September. And the agent thought it would take a year, and it took 2 days, and we had several offers.
Wow.
And so we looked at each other and we're like, okay, I guess we're doing this.
This is really happening.
To be.
Yes, we're doing this. Right.
Wow. Oh, I love that. And it's, I know we really try to match the best fit. And when we have somebody who's coming into the area, we like to try and find out, who you were, a little bit about you, and who we truly thought would be the right fit and the right agent at our brokerage to help. And Sharon has the nickname of being our social butterfly, because she, a huge benefit you have, Sharon, is that you're so well connected, that you understand, a key, particularly with such a big move across the country. It's not, finding a house is part of it, but it's finding the community, then narrowing it down to the house. And then it's all the little extras that can make or break a big decision like that.
Absolutely. And we immediately connected, and it's been a wonderful experience to work with Richard and Tracy. And we've become really good friends through it as well. So it's been such a pleasure.
I love that.
Well, see, Sharon, what I really like about Sharon is that she'd be very educated on the properties.
Yes.
And so she could give us all the information that we needed. And if she didn't know the information, she would find out the information. And I think that she always tried to figure out what we wanted. And we've now bought 2 properties through Sharon.
Right.
So
it's been great.
Yeah. And, not forcing her ideas on us at all, but trying to help us feel comfortable with whatever properties we
with
bought
these decisions.
and come up with some pretty fun strategies too.
We have had some good times along the way.
I love that, though.
And some great success. And it just warms my heart when, I see Richard and Tracy in their home in Gallagher's and, been to social events with them, and they really have embraced the entire lifestyle here, and they're happy. And to have helped you find your place at Big White as well, and you can share it with your family and friends. It makes me very happy.
Wow. Well, it used to be, and not even very long ago. Shannon and I travel a lot and promote our listings, Vancouver and Calgary and Toronto. We're going frequently. We go there 4 times a year. And it used to be maybe even 5 years ago that we would go to Toronto and we'd say, okay, we're from Kelowna, the Okanagan Valley. And people would sort of tilt their heads and look at us and go, where's that exactly? And we'd reference
so
it.
True.
It's this far from Vancouver. And now, people in Ontario, we've had a huge number of families who have chosen to move here. Young couples starting out, people retiring, everything in between. Do you find your friends, when you say you've moved to Kelowna, have they heard of it? Do they?
Not a lot of people know. And I have to admit, when we first arrived here, I didn't even know how to spell it. I thought it was like Cologne, Germany with an A on the end or something.
Yeah.
I don't know why I didn't realize it's a First Nations word.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm one of those people. But no, a lot of people, I've heard some actually interesting comments about Kelowna, which I don't think are real at all, but I think people have a stereotype of like Kelowna in the 70s or something.
Well, and share those with us, because I think some of our listeners will be in Belleville, Ontario right now, and maybe, considering where in the country do they want to move to, and can go on down a wormhole on the internet of, you don't want to go here because. So we're going to debunk those myths. But what are some of the things that you've heard?
Well, I had one friend.
Don't have to hold back. We'll edit it out if we don't like it. No,
Exactly.
I'm
kidding.
I had one friend say, well, I hope you smoke pot.
Oh, that's a funny one.
Really?
Yes. I've heard, and another friend said to me, oh, no, Tracy. No, that's way too blue collar.
Interesting.
Wow.
And I had another friend, just say, but there's a lot of people there who moved in the 70s and for a week and never left. So there are a lot of hippies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And interesting. And I think maybe we were like that in the 70s. And, I'd like to think we've evolved. A comment that I hear that we frequently have had people say is that Kelowna's really cliquey and it's hard to meet people and people aren't friendly.
I've heard that as well.
And I look at that and think, well, that's unusual because everybody's from somewhere else.
Right.
Generally speaking, I was born in Edmonton, moved here when I was just under 2. Shannon was born here. We're extremely rare. It seems to be that people our age in our 40s and we're from here. And do you find it cliquey? How was it meeting friends?
I don't find it cliquey at all. I did belong to Global Fitness for the tennis. I belong to Mission Tennis. I belong to Lakeview Tennis, as well as Gallagher's Tennis. And I've met a lot of people through different avenues. So not just at Gallagher's.
And
Smart.
I think it's, getting involved in different activities. So, you're going to meet like-minded people if you're joining your tennis or
Right.
you're going to the symphony or, whatever your choice is, you're going to make friends along the way through your everyday activities.
Yes.
And there's meetup groups.
100%,
Like if you really wanted to pursue that, if you
Yes.
thought you weren't meeting people, there's all kinds of meetup groups in Kelowna.
Yeah, the Newcomers
including-
Club. I know.
I was
is
just
one.
going to mention newcomers. That's been wonderful for a lot of people moving to Kelowna, and they make longtime friends.
And I volunteer at the Downtown Youth Center for entrenched youth. And
Oh, I love that.
thankfully I'm starting back again in May. I've really missed it. And I love volunteering there
Wow.
with the youth.
Wow. I love that. I think that's, what an asset you are to our community to come and to fully partake in all the activities, the skiing, the tennis, the pottery, and then giving back. That's,
Well, thanks.
we need more people like you who do that because I think there's a huge need. And I think, I hear of lots of people say, one day I'm going to volunteer. I'm going to give back. And it's always, it's sort of on the never, never plan. So I applaud you for doing that.
Well, thanks. I've volunteered a lot in Ontario doing various different things, but never with youth. And I somehow landed upon this, and I enjoy volunteering there more than any other volunteering I've ever done.
Wow. I love that.
Yeah.
I really love that. Any other questions, Sharon? Or is there anything that we can help somebody who's just, listening and or watching and perhaps thinking, is Kelowna a fit? What are some factors or what are some questions that we could answer?
Well, I find with people starting out, they have a vision of what they'd like to accomplish, and they want to get it right from the beginning. Yeah. So what we find when we're working with people, it really is a process, and it involves. And sometimes people, no matter what their age, they're afraid to make a change. They're scared. And so we help them through that. So, I guess I just like to put people's mind at ease that you don't have to have it all figured out. Wow. Okay? We're going to help you.
That's great advice. That really is, because yes, humans, we're adverse to change. We're resistant to it. It is scary. And, moving all the way across the country, I've never done it. I've lived here since I was 1, and I think I've actually lived within 5 kilometers of where I live right now, my entire life.
Well, the other thing too is I shared that same experience because I was born and raised in Toronto as well. And then in the 90s, I moved to Calgary and spent, 20 years. And then I've been in Kelowna the 8 years. So I feel that I can, really share my experiences and then help people along the way through their changes.
Because it's changing everything.
And we did look at a lot of different types of properties because initially this was going to be a second home for us.
Right.
This wasn't going to be our primary residence. And so the home that we ended up buying was a bit out of reach for what we were looking for, but it's worked out really well.
Wow.
That's so good.
Yeah.
But we did look at, we looked at a whole range of properties.
Which
initially.
And that's good.
And part of that too was looking at those other communities. You're moving from Ontario, and I think you eventually landed on, we could move into this neighborhood and we'd have our house, but how are we going to meet people? Right. We might feel very alone just moving into a house here and not making other, those connections as easily. So that's where it evolved to a lifestyle type community where.
Right. Yeah. And I like driving around in my golf cart.
I would love that.
Awesome. Yeah.
No, that's I think that's amazing. It's great to hear. It's heartwarming to hear. And now we just have to convince all your friends to come too.
Well, we're working on that.
Yes,
actually.
we're out of the people that we've just been hosting, I think there's a few of them that are definitely going to be looking.
Yeah. So blue collar, do you find Kelowna really blue collar?
I don't at all.
No, nor I.
And I mean, the changes just since we've been here in 2017, I can't believe the changes in Kelowna and the building.
Yeah, it feels like we're growing up.
Yes. Actually, I think that's a great way to explain it. Kelowna is growing up. I graduated from high school here. We had a grad class of 96 people, I think it was. All but 2 of us left. And now those who left, the majority of them want to come back. And, I think we have grown up. We've got some great restaurants. We have fabulous wineries and tennis clubs. I mean, I didn't know we had all the tennis that we do. And
also the opportunities for younger people in business here. Oh, yeah. Prior, a lot of kids left because they couldn't get the kind of work, the kind of jobs and careers that they were looking for in Kelowna. Well, those jobs are here now, and the world has changed. So many people are working remotely, and through the pandemic, a lot of people moved here because they realized, hey, we can work anywhere we want.
And I can attest to being on the water for most of the summer. There is an enormous amount of young people in Kelowna.
Yes.
I don't see them till I'm out on the water.
Yeah, it's true. I know. You wonder where they come from. No,
That's right.
They have fun on the water in the summers.
Yeah, it's true. So any as we wind it up, are there any words of advice, any wisdom that you can give somebody who's thinking of embarking on this big sort of life change?
Maybe come and test the waters, come and rent a house for a month maybe and see how you like it, and maybe learn the different areas of Kelowna, because there are so many wonderful, wonderful areas. If you have the opportunity to
test it out.
and to narrow
advice.
down what it is that you're looking for.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think something you did that was so smart, and Sharon, kudos to you for introducing all the different options. I mean, there are so many choices. We are a large city geographically, as well as our population is certainly growing. I think Kelowna proper, we're 140,000 people.
That's right.
But I think it was great to come and look at a wide variety of communities and neighborhoods and housing styles.
It's so true. And then when you finally land on the home, you know it's right.
Perfect. Have you got any advice, Sharon, for our listeners who are just sort of toying with this, or maybe they've got a list of 4 communities they'd move to, and Kelowna's one of them?
Well, I think you really have to start with coming to town and driving the areas, really understanding the lay of the land. In the higher elevations, you're going to get those beautiful view homes. You're going to have a little bit more winter.
Good point. 2 solid weeks more of winter, I would say, wouldn't you? If you're a little higher up, depending on where you are, than down close to the water.
So, you can look on the internet all you want, but I think you really need to come and see it and feel it, because there's an energy in different communities. And to look at a listing simply online, you don't see it in context, and you don't really get a true sense of what it's like. So by exploring the areas and really getting a feel of whether it's a good fit for you, and then we can, delve deeper into those communities if something really speaks to you.
Oh, I love that.
And I would suggest going on a sunny day, only because when we went through our house twice before we bought it, and the second time, we didn't notice that there was a spectacular view of Black Mountain, which we didn't notice the first time. So we figure it must have been on a cloudy day.
Yeah, it's funny, right. Actually. It's one of the first buttons that gets clicked on our website when people sort of fill out their wish list. And, I think it is the first or the second button is view. And we're very fortunate here. It is so beautiful that, some people want a view of the lake, the view of the mountains, a view of the valley. I think some of the views out in the Glenmore Valley are amongst the most breathtaking that I've seen. And
absolutely. Actually, on that note, there was another couple from Ontario that bought in Wilden, and that's what they fell in love with, was the valley view.
Yeah, it's we're fortunate to live in such a great place. So if you're considering making a move, if you want to, even just have a conversation on the phone or a Zoom call and learn a little bit more about what it's like living here in Kelowna, we'd love to help. We'll match you up with the best fit. You're probably thinking Sharon's the best fit right now.
Well, thank you.
And she might be. But, we have a new tagline we're saying, that we want to help you love where you live. And we'd like that to be Kelowna. And we're here to help. Thanks for joining us.